It's, when we started streaming, and I would just start at the very beginning, and I wouldn't remember to turn it off at the end, it would pick up some very interesting conversations. Nothing ever, scandalous. But I'm so glad that I have the editing capability, because you'd be wading through a lot of stuff to figure out where the sermon was or the talk was. Well, I do have some wonderful news for you today. Do you know that the same power and presence that put the universe into it, or the galaxies into their spin, works through us also? And so the same force that inspires the rose seed to grow into a beautiful rose bud and then blossom works through us to transform hatred into love and judgment into compassion. And so with that, we will sing our theme song. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now. And Susan, hi ladies.
Hello.
Susan will do our daily word.
Our daily word for today is grace. I accept grace with a grateful heart. Grace is woven into the very fabric of my being. It's the goodness of God at work in my life. I accept grace as the redeeming, uplifting, and transforming power of God working in and through me now. Grace is an expression of God's love, and I receive it every day with a grateful heart. I experience grace as a nudge to pay attention, a second chance, as unexpected good or a better than expected outcome. When I allow room for God's grace, good blossoms in my consciousness. Forgiveness, generosity, and love come naturally, and I am blessed. Life is easier when I'm open to God's grace. Following Spirit's lead, I no longer paddle against the current, but flow with the stream of divine life. From Philippians 4:23, the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ be with your spirit. And I'll read our affirmation again, and if you'd like to repeat with me. I accept grace with a grateful heart.
I accept grace with a grateful heart. Wonderful.
And Deanna has some announcements for some classes.
Yeah, I am giving a couple classes over the next couple weeks.
Oh.
Next Saturday, I am doing a class called Clearing Limited Beliefs. And I think you ladies liked it when you did it, right? Yeah. But I do that at my house. I like to do it, at least once a month. So anyway, but that class, it's just about clearing blocks that are in our energy field that keep us from moving forward, and it's $10. The first Friday of February here in this office, I am doing an intuitive vision circle, and it is also $10. And so the information is just right there on the table if you would like to grab a little flyer. I'm also doing something, this is an online program, and this will last 33 days. It's called the Conscious Luminaries online program, and it is 33 days of consciously shining your light. And it's all done online through email, and there's a focus, there's exercise every day. Because, do you know, I used to think it just took 21 days to change a habit. Do you know, I read an article, it actually can take a minimum of 66 days, right? It can take months to change habits, right? To form a new habit and get rid of old crummy habits. So this 33 days of online is daily interactions, and so it gives us more of a sense of accountability, okay? And so if you're interested, you can just grab the flyers. All right. My talk today is called Greater Gifts. And that's just taken from the idea, and this and even greater will you do, right? Even greater than these things. The author, Leo Buscaglia, who writes about love, 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 love. If you get a chance to read anything by this man, I love, love, love him. He says, our talents are the gift that God gives back to us. What we make of our talents is our gift back to God. The greater gifts that we express, those are our spiritual gifts, the talents that we are meant to be expressing out into this world. Now, they're a gift from God, okay, and this just means that God put them inside of us. They're ready and waiting to express through us. But if we're not choosing from love, we may not be expressing these gifts as the brightest version that they could be. Because if we're choosing from fear, we can waste the energy, we can desecrate what it is that works through us. So when we're consciously choosing from love and expressing those gifts, it is a gift back to spirit, because then spirit gets to express through us the way that it desires more than anything, right? To express through us as the brightest version of ourselves. All right, Christ said, I'm pretty sure you guys have heard this little story, but he says to his disciples, I am the true vine, and my Father is the laborer. Every branch in me that does not bear fruit, he cuts off. And the one which bears fruit, he prunes, so that it may bring forth more fruit. Okay, so there are branches that don't bear fruit. Now, metaphorically, this is just things that we do. Some of the things we do, they bear fruit, right? Because they express in a beautiful way, they help us, they help others. Then there are things that don't bear fruit, right? Like if we're feeling crummy and we yell at somebody who makes pizza. I don't know, that's not bearing fruit, right? Now, Christ, he actually says, the branches that don't bear fruit, his Father prunes. He's saying there are some things that he's not good at. There are some things he's not meant to be doing, right? Now, we've all heard he's a carpenter, right? Do we hear what kind of carpenter he was? I don't know. I haven't heard he was a master carpenter. I haven't heard he was a great carpenter. We know he wasn't put here to be a carpenter. He wasn't put here to be a winemaker. He wasn't put here to be a metalsmith, right? He was put here for a purpose, and his Father built that in him. And by tapping into the indwelling spirit in him, he expressed his highest purpose. He let the other things go. Okay, he didn't build his carpenter business, right? He expressed what he was meant to be expressing, which was to teach people to look for the indwelling spirit of God in them, right, in themselves. So he then goes on to tell his disciples, you have already been pruned because of the word which I have spoken to you. The word, when they use the word in the Bible as the word, it is bringing from the unseen realm of God, where everything is pure potential, into the seen, where everything exists in the physical realm. Now, Christ is saying that his disciples have already been pruned. They've chosen to have him be their mentor and teacher. They've made that choice. They've decided they're not meant to be fishermen. They're not meant to be carpenters or winemakers or metalsmiths. Okay? They are following their calling, and they've been pruned accordingly. He goes on to say, remain with me and I with you, just as a branch cannot give fruit by itself unless it remains on the vine. Even so, you cannot unless you remain with me. He didn't mean this literally, right? As long as you stay with me forever, you'll be able to do these things. That's not what he meant, because he knew he wasn't going to be here forever. He meant the teaching he was instilling in them. The teaching that there's an indwelling spirit of God that people want to tap into, right? Okay, so he's talking about keeping the same mind that worked in him, that divine mind, to keep it in them also. And that's how they remain with Christ. Then he says, if you remain with me and my words remain with you, whatever you ask for shall be done for you. And then he goes on to talk about abiding in love and loving each other, and that that's the greatest commandment, right? So when we're coming from a space of love, we're abiding in love, we're letting the Christ mind be in us, that is when we're letting those greater gifts come through us. And that's when we're letting ourselves be guided so that we're doing what we're meant to be doing, whether it's a winemaker or a carpenter or a metalsmith, however that looks, as we come from a space of love, we will find that. So what if we are trying to express our talents, right? And I remember when I was younger going through this phase where I had to find my one talent, my unique gift that would change the world, right, forevermore. But what about if we're trying really hard to do something and it doesn't seem to be working out for us? I've had that experience too many times. And I haven't wanted to give up on it because I felt like if I did give up on it, it made me a failure. Okay? And so it was really hard to give up. But what if we can just say, it's all good, right? It's a guidepost just telling me to go on to the next thing. Do you know, I once was gonna be a graphic artist, right? But nobody wanted, I didn't even know what that meant. I mean, this was back in the 90s, and I got the Corel Draw program for the computer, right? So I thought because I could utilize this, it made me a graphic artist. It didn't. And I'm glad that's not the path that I was meant to be on. But I have had, like in the field of holistic healing, I've studied all kinds of branches of holistic healing. At one point, I was very excited about studying hypnotherapy. However, I was pregnant with my second child, and the hypnotherapy course would have gone a month past my due date. So I knew I was going to miss probably the last month or two of this course. So I settled for another course. And though it was fun and I enjoyed taking it, I never could make it work out for me. It was homeopathy. And I could never build a business around homeopathy. And yet another girl who took the class with me, she went and opened a holistic healing center at the beach. And the last I heard, it was thriving. Okay? She did something with that. The same one class that I took. And she had a center at the beach. Okay? But she had been dreaming about being a homeopath for years, right? I was just like, well, I'll just take it because it's available. And it finished before like a month before my due date. So I figured it would be okay. Now, when I was focusing really, really hard on trying to make the homeopathic business work, I felt like I was struggling. I was struggling to try to find a way to make it work out for me. And it felt very uncomfortable. It felt very forced. Nothing was flowing for me. But I was still afraid to just let it go. My husband had just let me spend all this money on this course, right? I felt like I had to at least make the money back, right? I felt like a failure. I really did. But what I discovered now that I look back on it, it was not where I was meant to be. It was a sign telling me, no, move on. This isn't you. It's okay. It's fine that you know about, homeopathic arnica, but move on. So I did. Now, if we're trying to force something to happen, that's us being controlling. And guess what? If we're being controlling, we have not surrendered our will to divine will. We're basically, I know that when I'm controlling, this is what I'm saying. You're not doing anything here, God, so I'm gonna have to take over, I guess, right? I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you think is more important than my, path. If we're being controlling about a situation, though, that's uninspired thinking. And that's not expressing a spiritual gift. Our spiritual gifts will always be inspired. Okay, they will always, always feel good. So we want to create, we want to express our spiritual gifts into this world. That means we take our focus off of what's happening out here. We take our focus off the results and how things are supposed to look. We focus back on the vine, right? And the vine is the indwelling Spirit of God. So we return our focus back to the vine because we are each a vessel. We're meant to be expressing something in a certain way. And whatever that unique way is, that's the greatest thing that we could do. And when we align ourselves to do that, we are going to feel wonderful about what we're doing. All of us are unique vessels. Do you know, I think most of you know that I love to sing, right? Do you know when I first got into singing, I thought everybody wanted to be doing what I was doing, right? Because I loved it so much, it must be what the whole planet wanted to do, which meant it was going to be really hard for me to get singing gigs because I had the whole planet to compete with. Okay, but we're not like that. We each like different flavors of ice cream. Some of us would choose to go hiking in Joshua Tree, where some of us would rather go to the beach, and some of us would rather curl up in front of our fireplace. because we're all expressing spirit in a unique way. And however that way looks is totally perfect for us. Perfect for us. So when I gave up how I thought my life should look, and I didn't give up out of wisdom or anything like that. I gave up because I was exhausted. I was so tired trying to force things to work. I just finally, I'm like, screw it. And then something happened, and here I am. And doing this is something that I love doing so much. And teaching the classes that I teach is something I love doing so much. I don't have to try. I don't have to try hard at the stuff that I love doing. Okay, so we will discover that about ourselves. We don't have to force anything when we're letting Spirit work through us. In Emily Cady's book, Lessons in Truth, she says, these works will be done without effort on our part, because they will be God, omnipotent, omniscient, manifesting himself through you in his own chosen direction. So our greatest work will work through us, and it will seem effortless. Now, we still have to do work, but it's not going to feel like struggle. It's not going to feel like a drag. When we're excited about what we do and what works through us, often we're working harder than we've ever worked. But it just doesn't feel like that. We would never say that about what we're doing because we're excited about what we do. Okay? But we do have to be able to surrender our will to divine will, and we have to be at peace so that we can allow that force to work through us. Struggling keeps us from being at peace. Worrying about how our path is supposed to manifest keeps us from being at peace. And it just means that we can't communicate with our heart, so we can't receive any guidance. When we are allowing, life is easier, right? Life is easier, life is more flowing, okay? We are still putting effort in, we're still doing the job, but it just feels better. Now, one of the most frequent questions I get from my clients and from the group here, and especially after I sent out the announcement last week about what today's talk would be about, I got emails said, good, because I want to know what my spiritual gift is. I want to know what I'm supposed to be doing to the world. And I get emails and phone calls. It's like, I just don't know what my spiritual gift is, right? What is that? Spiritual gift is, all it is the unique way that God works through you. That's all it is, okay? We just like confirmation, right? I remember going through a period of time when I wanted to see somebody who was like, oh, I sense from the universe that you are meant to be doing this without a doubt. And you will succeed 100% of the time. That's what I wanted, okay? But no, it's just how does God uniquely express through us? Now, Paul talks about, and I'm sorry that I forget which book I took this out of. It might have been Colossians or Corinthians or Ephesians or any of those. But he sums up our spiritual gifts into a handful of spiritual gifts, right? Now, I love this handful of spiritual gifts because basically it's a starting point for us. Whatever it is that we daydream of doing, that we would love to do, that we would like to bring into our life, it starts with one of these gifts, okay? And so these are Paul's spiritual gifts that he sums up for us. The first one is knowledge, okay? Knowledge is a gift. Being able to give knowledge to another person is a big gift. We see this with our school teachers, right? When our kids and students, they get fired up about something, they get passionate about something they've learned, that's a gift from their teacher. And I've had teachers myself who some of them gave me their gift of knowledge. They shared something and I got it. And I had other teachers and I left that class scratching my head, not having any idea what I was supposed to have gotten out of that class. Okay, so we have people who have the gift of being able to share knowledge with us. Sharing wisdom, that is another gift. Wisdom is different from knowledge. Somebody who shares knowledge gives us data and facts, okay? Where somebody who's sharing the gift of wisdom is giving us a gift of understanding. And I have a friend, and every time I think about the gift of wisdom, I think of him. We went to holistic healing school together. And he would just say the simplest things to me, that would give me the aha moment, right? And he wasn't even trying to make me wise or understanding or anything, but it's just how he spoke so gently, how he lived his life. He had the gift of being able to share wisdom. Now, these next two gifts I thought were interesting. They are speaking different languages and interpretation of different languages. And so I saw this literally, of course. We've all seen like a TV show, right, where somebody really hacked the language they were trying to speak, and it's something really funny then, and we all laugh when we saw it, right? But what if we look at this metaphorically, okay? We're all speaking one of two languages. We're either speaking from love or we're speaking from fear. If someone speaks to us through fear, and we are listening through the lens of fear, we might feel attack. We're not going to understand what they are saying to us. Okay, we're going to hear our own interpretation of this and judge it. We'll judge it. When we are listening through the lens of love, no matter what they say, no matter how fearful their language is, we will still hear what they're really saying. Okay, we'll still hear if it's a call for love, because we can interpret when someone else is speaking through fear. I watched this really cute movie called Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion. And it's one of my favorite movies, but one of the girls is very, very, very ditzy, okay? And she's blonde, and like she fits the stereotype. Well, she says to her friend something very incoherent, okay, that like made no sense to me, wasn't even really funny. But her friend looked at her with these eyes of love, and she says, I understand. Okay, because she loved her friend, and she saw and she listened with love, so she could interpret what this girl said to her. So that is a big gift. I hear Jesus might have spoken 3 languages, but he definitely spoke Aramaic and Hebrew. Interesting, huh? Maybe 3 languages. I only know one person who speaks another 3 languages besides English. 3, okay. Another gift of Spirit is faith. We all have faith, but do we have faith and trust how Spirit works through us? Are we having faith in a world that's going to cause us harm, chaos, right? Bring terrible things to happen? Okay, where is our faith? Now, somebody who has the gift of faith, they trust how Spirit works through them, and they can look at another person and trust how Spirit works through them too. I know when I get worked up about something, I've got this friend, Wendy, who she just had to leave, but she'll say, Deanna, I always see how things work out for you. Right at the right time, you're going to receive some kind of inspiration. And then just bang, you're going to just be back on track again. And she always remembers that for me, even when I forget. Okay, so somebody who has the gift of faith will see that in us, and they'll remind us that we have Spirit working through us all the time, and we can trust that, right? And when we have the gift of faith, we see that for ourselves, and we see it for other people. Okay, that God is always working. This spiritual gift is a pretty obvious one. It's healing, and it's one that we probably see the most in our culture, right? Because we meet talented healers, and we think, wow, they healed me, they made me feel better. Okay, but healing is any movement for us back toward well-being. Okay, so when somebody has the gift of healing, they help other people both physically and emotionally move toward well-being. Because when we're moving emotionally toward well-being, the physical body will follow, right? So that's the gift of healing. The gift of miracles. Somebody who has the gift of miracles can bring faith and healing into the lives of other people and into the lives of themselves. The gift of prophecy. This is my favorite one, because I love when people say, how can you be a minister and yet do intuitive readings for people? I'm like, well, I don't want to limit how God works through this world, right? But we all have the gift to some level. Okay, prophecy is what? A seeing into the future, right? Well, we all have these things that we do. And when we keep doing what we keep doing, we keep getting what we keep getting, right? Now, when we look at our own lives and say, well, every time I do this and do this and do this and get this and get this and get this, this is just what keeps happening. So maybe I want to change what I'm doing, right? So I can get something different. Or when we can help somebody else see that for themselves too, okay? We can encourage them, nurture them, support them, because we kind of know where they're going, right? And so we can help them to change that. The means to distinguish a true spirit. I know both Paul and John, and one more person, have talked about testing the spirits. And so they recognized, back then, they recognized there were spirits who would come talk to us, but some of them didn't have our well-being in mind. But some of them did, right? So distinguish the spirits. Well, we may not all hear spirits from beyond, but what if we're sensing energies around people? Okay, what if we're sensing an energy around ourselves? There's energy that supports us and helps us feel good because it's a very loving energy. Well, there's other energy that does not support us. Okay, and so maybe it's about recognizing energy that is not supporting us. Maybe it's about recognizing that there may be relationships in our lives that we should distance ourselves from this person because they're not good for us, right? Okay, we can love how a rhinoceros looks, but we don't want to invite it into our home, right? We admire it from afar. Okay, we know when it's good to set a boundary for ourselves. And then there's one more gift, and Paul says this is the greatest gift of all. Do you know what it is? Love. Love is the greatest gift of all. Of all these, love is the greatest. When we come from a space of love, it's when we start activating the spiritual gifts that come through us. Paul said, whether if I'm prophesying or if I'm doing this or that, if I don't have love, it's hollow. Or it sounds like a clanging bell. Okay, without love, this stuff doesn't work out so well. Now, I remember when I first got into holistic healing, and I was very desperate to make something work out. I could always tell the difference. When I worked from love, people that I saw would feel better and they would enjoy their time with me. When I worked out of desperation and fear, they wouldn't come back. And that always happened, right? And for a long time, I'm just like, why aren't they coming back? Okay, because I was so fearful. I wasn't doing what I did with love. Right? I was doing what I did because I wanted recognition. A lot of the time, that's what I wanted. Recognition. Because I was fearful and I wanted somebody else to say something nice about me. Right? Because I was not paying attention to the indwelling spirit. All right, so we come from love. It's the greatest gift because it helps us to activate all the other gifts. Right? And then all of those gifts, they transform into the other things that we do in our life. Right? So our whole life, you could narrow it down. Everything we do, okay, whether we're interacting with family members, or we're shopping, or we're remodeling our house, okay, or we're job searching, right? They all come from this somewhere in this, whether it's faith that God is working through us for our highest, brightest good, so we'll end up where we're supposed to be, right? Or whether it's healing, and we're letting ourselves move toward well-being so that we're expressing the brightest version of ourselves. Okay, so we just come from love. Love, the greatest gift of all. So what happens if you feel like you have a gift, but you have to force it, right? You're forcing it. It's just not working out. What happens if we have to let go of something because it's not working? What if we're worrying because we have to let go of something? We just go back to love. One of the things that makes love the greatest gift of all also is that it gives us a do-over. We just start over, go back to love, and we start from there. Okay, we don't try to make some old thing work out, right? We just go back to love and we start there and let it guide us. Because when we're scared and we're not in a space of love, we're not having communication with our heart. We're not receiving divine guidance when we're scared. Okay, we are being slowed down at that point. We're not moving forward at all. We're slowed down. We're stopped. We're struggling. If you think about like a canoe and a river, and your greatest dream is to go with all your friends. Everybody has a canoe, and you're going to go down this river, right? And you've trained for it. You can guide a canoe. But then you stand on the shore, and meanwhile, everybody else is taken off. So you stand there, and you think about how busy that river looks. It looks very fierce and bouncy, right? That is keeping you there on the shore the whole time you're thinking about it, the whole time you're pondering it. And that's what fear does to us. Fear just keeps us stuck right where we are. We don't get to go down that river. Now we've all felt confused. Okay, we've all felt like maybe we failed at something, right? We've all felt lost. We've all felt unsupported. We've all felt that maybe things were not working out for us. Even if we're focusing with our whole heart, even if we feel like, I'm saying all my affirmations, I'm doing my gratitude, I'm doing all this, why isn't this thing happening? Okay, why? We've all felt that. But even the bravest heart can buckle under the stress of life. Okay, the bravest heart has felt lost and unsupported. The bravest heart has felt heartache and sorrow and fear. Okay, the only one thing that's missing in those moments for us is just we've forgotten what we are and what works through us. Okay, all of us have the bravest heart. But sometimes we get disconnected from that source. Something outside of us triggers us, makes us forget, bad programming comes in, and that's all that's happened. We've just forgotten where we are from and what we really are. Now, I've had this experience for myself my whole life. I've even had it happen in the last few months because I've gone through a lot in the last few months, right? And I'll forget. And I'll think, oh my God, what am I going to do now? How am I going to solve this dilemma? Blah, 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 right? But I have been practicing and practicing and practicing, and I'm always able to get myself into a space of joy, okay? Because I keep practicing, which means I know that it's doable, okay? And I do simple things. I focus on my heart energy, and I expand it out of my body. I do affirmations. God is working for my greatest good right now. Any second, I am going to have awareness of this. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Even if that's the least I can do. Well, no, the least I can do is nothing and just stay on the shore and be afraid. But the tiniest step that I take is to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. The thing is that teeny, teeny step brings me a teeny shift in awareness. And then another teeny step brings me a teeny shift in awareness. But pretty soon, I am going from a space of struggling into the space of allowing. Okay, and that's all we want. We have within us a compassionate inner being. Okay, that divine force that works through us, as it is connected to us, when it comes out of the vast field of potential and individualizes to work through us, to be unique within us, its strongest energy is love and compassion. So it has compassion for us. We are never alone. There's a reason that Jesus called that source his Father. Okay, because the Father is a loving energy, right? Now I loved when I heard people call it Mother, Father, God. I love that because it felt like a nice balance, right? And I sensed that inner indwelling spirit as the Mother, Father, God. Okay, and so it's there for us, and it is compassion. And the smallest motion that we can take, the smallest motion forward, starts amplifying that feeling within us so that we can keep moving forward. So I had to ask myself, what was I willing to do? And I'm going to ask you right now, just shake your head, nod your head. What are you willing to do? Just a series of simple steps to get yourself out of a space of being afraid to move forward. Are you willing to do that? Here, I'm going to hand that to you. I'll let you just pass those around. These are some nice affirmations on the back. If you flip on the side that does not have the picture. These are some simple affirmations. In the last October, I told you my husband lost his job and he got reemployed now, but being a mom of 2 kids, I had a little panic. And so this is what I came up with for me, all right? So what are you willing to do, right? And this is a short list. It doesn't take you long to get through this, right? The first thing that we do, if we are feeling fear, if we are not expressing our spiritual gifts, the first thing we do is deny the fear, okay? And I don't mean deny like, oh, it doesn't exist, right? There's no such thing as fear, right? No, there's fear and we feel it. We absolutely can feel it in our body. but it's not who we are. It is not who we are. We were made from love, and we were sent to this planet in these bodies with the spirit of love and power and discipline. Okay? So we deny that the fear is who we are. We're not the fear. So that's what we do. Fear is not what I am made from. It is just a program. Okay? Let's say it together. Fear is not what I am made from. It's just a program. And we got it sometime in childhood, right? Babies, I remember watching my kids as toddlers. There were so many things they were not afraid of, and I could not understand why they weren't afraid of it, so I had to program it into them. I had to teach them. Sorry, baby. I'm so sorry. Okay, the next thing we do is focus on the heart center. Now, I think most of you have been here when we've done this, but we just see a golden light. If you want to close your eyes for a second, just see that radiant golden light and expand it even bigger than your body. Okay, that's simple enough to do, right? The heart is our connection to Source. It works through the heart. The heart is the doorway. It's the gateway into heaven. And all good things come through the heart. Okay, the next part. Then we affirm. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's do it together. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have muscle tested myself when I felt like I had a real low energy, and I have done nothing then except to say thank you, thank you, thank you over and over again. I didn't make any other change. I muscle tested myself. I had raised my vibration. Okay? It's very powerful just to say thank you, thank you, thank you over and over. The next thing we affirm is I am born from love and power. I am born from love and power. When, I forget who said this, but Paul, I think, said that we are given the spirit of love, power, and discipline, right? Love is what we come from. Power is our ability to bring from the unseen into the seen, to make the word manifest. Discipline is us being able to choose from love instead of fear. Okay, the discipline is us saying, the fear is not what I am, that's bad programming, I choose from love. That's the discipline part, right? So let's do, okay, we did I am love, I am born from love and power, right? Okay, let's do this next one together. I choose from love because that's what I am. You are like what you come from, and you come from love. This next one, let's do it together. I am an unlimited being in a body. These lovely physical suits that we are wearing are a vehicle. They're not who we are. They're a vehicle to allow us to express into this world, to manifest heaven on earth. Okay, they're a gift that we have. They're a gift we brought here with us. Okay, so that we can bring this expression of God into the world. Okay, let's say this next one. God is working through me now for my highest good. I worked for this mortgage company years and years and years ago, and I got laid off after 10 years. I was heartbroken. I was devastated. I didn't know what I was going to do. It moved me into the next most remarkable phase of my life. And then that moved me into a more remarkable phase. And then that moved me into a more remarkable phase. It was for my highest good to get let go from that job. My highest good. However, the day they let me go, it didn't feel so much like that. Okay? So we affirm that because it's coming. Recognizing that it's for our highest good is coming no matter what difficulty we're having. Okay? I love this last one. Let's say it together. I am receiving all good now. And I will tell you, I have been worried about stuff, and I'll say this over and over and over again. I feel a difference. Okay? I've had a hard couple of years. All right? And the last couple months, hard. But I have used this, and it makes me feel better. And when I start feeling better, I start becoming more inspired, coming up with better ideas, and then I do things that make my life work better. So I'm telling you, this works, right? This card is in a convenient format for you. Anybody could fold it in half and put it in your pocket, all right? So if you feel like you're having a struggle, look at this and say, well, Deanna did it. Good grief, if she can manage, right? Anybody can. Leo Buscaglia, he said so many wise things, but he also said this: the easiest thing to do in the world, the easiest thing to be in the world is you. Yes, the easiest thing to be is you. We feel such a struggle sometimes. I know I have. I felt such a struggle. But do you know the struggle is not trying to be bigger, better, brighter, even though that's what we think the struggle is to be bigger, better, and brighter. No, the struggle is we're not allowing ourselves to be bigger, better, and brighter. The struggle is trying to stay the same. That's why it's a struggle. I gave you the metaphor of the canoe and the river. We're not actually the canoe in that story. We're the river, okay? A river, can you imagine a river? It's just meant to flow, right? Okay, it is so much work to have to stop the flow of a river. Okay, if any of us were going to try to go stop the flow of a river, we would physically work ourselves into exhaustion probably, right? Because the river's natural state is flowing. Our natural state is flowing. It's expansion. It is letting spirit work through us. That is our natural state. That is what we are meant to be doing. So finding our spiritual gifts is only about finding the way that God works through us uniquely and allowing it to happen. Just allowing it. To express our gifts and talents, that's all we have to do. We just allow it. No matter what we're going through though. See, that's the key right there, is no matter what we're going through, right? When we can allow, things will start working out for us, right? But we have to get to that point where we're allowing. So we can do these affirmations, but do you know the biggest part of just letting ourselves allow is to actually act like we believe in all this stuff. Okay? Now, I've been into New Thought since 2000, right? And before that I was a New Age person, and I loved all the stuff about law of attraction and the power of thinking, and I had read Dr. Joseph Murphy and Wallace Wattles and all those guys, right? I'd read it, and then for like 5 minutes I'd try to change my world for the better, and it didn't work out. And I'd be like, man, this stuff doesn't work. That's how it felt, right? What I discovered about myself was I wasn't acting like it all the time. I was giving it a couple minutes out of my day, right? I was giving it a couple minutes when I was talking to a friend about it. We'd be like, oh yeah, we're all into the law of attraction. I'm gonna manifest a feather. Okay, that's what we would do. You know, and we'd go walk around outside and find a feather, right? So it's just so hard to find a feather, right? But see, that's what I was doing. And now I would say the greatest gift that this group has given me, and we've been going for almost 2 years now, is accountability, right? I talk about this stuff, and I have my children reminding me, because they'll be like, Mom, didn't you listen to your sermon today? I want to walk this walk, because when somebody calls me and says, Deanna, I'm having this problem, I want to know that I can speak from my own experience, okay? That's the big thing. Act like we believe in this stuff. That's all. Just act. If we are afraid, we can honor how we feel, okay? Honor when something has happened, it's really thrown us, okay? That's really thrown a screwdriver in our engine or whatever, okay? Honor how that feels. We can honor it. But then remember, that's not what we are. We are not that fear. We are like what we come from. We are life, light, truth, and love. There's a reason that Jesus said, keep your eyes single. In earlier translations, it's actually keep your eye bright. Okay? Bright. A bright eye is an eye focused on God. A bright eye is an eye focused on love. Right? And love being the greatest gift, what happens when we come from love, right? We're creating from love. We're allowing those inner gifts to work through us. We see God in ourselves. We see God in other people. We see the wholeness that maybe they're not recognizing. We see God in ourselves and we pull ourselves back toward wholeness. The only thing that we can ever really bring to this world are the beauty of the spiritual gifts that have been put here by God. And that's why we want to allow them, because they'll bring us the greatest joy. Okay, they'll bring us more joy than something we're trying to force happen. Okay, trying to force something to work for us because somebody else did it and it worked fine, right? That's not following our path, that's following somebody else's path. Leo Buscaglia also said, there's scores of people waiting. Ugh, I just closed it, hold on. There are scores of people waiting for someone just like us to come along. People who will appreciate our compassion, our encouragement, who will need our unique talents. Someone who will live a happier life merely because we took the time to share what we had to give. There's an unlimited force that seeks to work through us, which means that the gifts that we have to share are unlimited in their potential. Okay, unlimited in their expression. We just have to find that space where we are aware of what's working through us, because that is our true home. Our true home is where we find that space where our greatest joy, our greatest gladness meets the world's needs also. Okay, that is our true home, and that is our true gift to the world. So until next time, remember that you are a force for good. You are a light, and you light the way. With every beat of your heart and with every breath you take, you are radiating light and love into the world around you. In everything you do, you are blessed. And so it is. Amen. Carol, could you reach behind you to our prayer box and just pass it on up here? Thank you so much. How many of you got the newsletter? Thank you. Okay. In the newsletter, I just talked about holding the vision for our own growth here. And so we'll do our prayer for the prayer box, and I'm going to lead you through a meditation. And that'll include a vision for the growth of Bright Star. Okay. But a lot of goodness for us too. Okay. So first of all, we're going to think about this prayer box. We're going to think about the requests that are in here for love and healing. And we first imagine our own self. We're connected. That source is flowing through us. We can imagine our own heart center, golden and brilliant and expanded around us. We feel centered. We feel that force of love and light working through us. And we think about our friends, our loved ones, and our friends who we don't know yet, who have a request for healing and wholeness. We remember that they are already whole and healed. We remember what they are and the force that works through them. We hold the vision for them to receive the awareness of what they really are, that they are already love, they are already whole and healed in the divine mind. And we think about any of our own concerns, any of our own worries, and we put those into the light also. We remember that all of our problems are already solved on the level of spirit. In the realm of divine mind, everything is perfect. And we just ask for the awareness to let that express through us for our own highest good. And just breathe deeply. And just say to yourself, I am surrounded by light. This light is made from love and peace. I am made from this light. This light fills my spirit. This light guides my soul. This light allows me to see with my spiritual sight, with eyes of love. My internal focus is on the divine, indwelling spirit within me. I make choices based on love. I listen to my internal guidance system. I take action based on the divine wisdom that comes through me. I am filled with light. I am filled with love. I am filled with inspiration. I hold the vision for my life expressing love. I hold the vision for a life of wholeness. I hold the vision for a life of perfect love, perfect healing, and perfect abundance. I hold the vision for the growth of my spiritual community. I hold the vision that Bright Star grows in the highest and brightest way. I am guided by love. I am guided by peace. I am guided by light. I am made from this light. And so it is. Take a deep breath and wiggle your toes. Make sure everybody's back here.